Adapt is the free open source authoring tool that everyone should love. In this video, I'm going to take a look at, once you've got it installed, how to launch it, how to manage it, and how to navigate the main areas of the authoring tool. For those of you who have been following the channel for a while, you'll know the first video that I ever uploaded here was a tutorial on how to install the Adapt authoring tool and framework on Windows 10. Well, this is the long, and I mean long awaited follow-up on how to manage and use that authoring tool. In this video, we're going to take a look at how to launch the tool from the desktop, how to navigate around the main dashboard areas, how to install community plugins, manage users and assets, and right at the end we're going to take a quick look at how to get started on your very first course using Adapt. There will be a follow-up to this video later this week, yes, actually later this week this time, I promise, on exactly how to author your course in Adapt. Together, these 3 videos will form a very short series that will allow you to build content completely free of charge, whether that's for your employer, for a client, or to kickstart your portfolio. So, without further ado, let's dive on in. So now that we're here on the desktop, the first thing we'll need to do is start the server. You can see here that I have my command prompt window open, and I've located the install pathway of the Adapt authoring tool that we set up when installing the software. All I need to do here is relocate or change the directory of my command prompt window to match the location of my Adapt install. I can do that with one simple command. First thing I need to do is go up to the file pathway here in File Explorer, because I'm not a machine and so can't remember the pathways in my own computer. Right click here and click copy address as text. Then come over to command prompt, type in cd space and then paste in the file pathway we just copied. Hitting enter changes the directory, as you can see, to match the directory of the install, and then I need to run one more command, which is just node server. I can then hit enter, and this will now start the server and activate the local host instance of Adapt. We're now ready to open up the tool. You can see here it also reports in green on the version of the authoring tool and framework. This is actually where it'll flag if there's an update available for you as well, at which point you can run the upgrade JavaScript file, which you can see just here. There are no updates pending today, so we will open up the authoring tool and get started. We start by opening up the web browser and going to localhost and whichever port you've set it up on. 5000 tends to be the default, certainly for me that's where I've got it set, and then it'll ask you to log in. So when you log into the Adapt authoring tool, you'll find yourself on a starting dashboard. I've installed a new instance for this video, so you can see it is completely empty, but this space, as the My Courses title suggests, will be filled with all the courses you've created. Now you can order these and organise them into folders using the tag system, and you can search by name, as you can see from the search here. A couple of quick things to guide you around the screen. In the top left hand corner you have the drop down menu. This gives you access back to this dashboard to your asset management area where you can upload files, images, audio files and videos. Your plugin management area that we'll look at shortly, and user management. Now you can have multiple users, however given this is a local install and I'm the only user, I don't tend to use this. When setting this up on a server though with multiple users, you would use this area to manage everyone with an account, where you could set their email address, what tenant they're using. Again, if you were setting this up on a server you might wish to set up multiple tenants for different areas of the business. What role they have, whether it's super admin, admin, user. You can also see how many failed logins they have. Adapt is a really secure platform, so if you actually fail to log in with an incorrect password to a valid email address 3 times, it will lock you out. If you're running the server version, you'll be able to click a button saying I forgot my password. If not, you'll actually have to access the database directly if you lock yourself out of a local version. If you'd like to see a video about that in the future, let me know and we will get one made. Finally, you can see when the user last accessed the system. If you do have multiple users, this is really useful for making sure you don't have loads of unused user accounts sat around taking up space in your network. Adding a user is very easy. You just click the Add User button, input the information that it asks for, first name, last name, email address, password, the tenant you're asking, and of course the role that they're being put into, hit save, and they receive an email with their details in. Nice and easy. So let's go back to the dashboard. Here you can see you have the option to add a new course. We'll use this when we create our first course shortly. Import source. This is where you can import a course that's been exported from another instance of Adapt. Over here on the right, you can see you've got access to the help page, and you can see your login information and have the option to log out. Here you just have different options for organising the dashboard area, as once it populates with courses, these options tend to make things a little bit easier when trying to find your most recent courses or just organising them in a logical way. Next up, let's take a look at how you can add assets to your platform. So we click on the menu and we go to Asset Management. Here you can upload images, audio files, video, and others, and you can also organise them all with tags. Adding new assets is really simple. All you need to do is head up to the top here, click Upload New Asset, click Choose File, and then select the file you want to upload. In this case, I'll upload this rather fine checkmark, give it a title, give it a description, try and spell things correctly, which is always a struggle for me. And what we might put here is that it's a tick, checkmark, depending on which side of the Atlantic you're on. It's a green tick, and it's about something being complete. These are all tags that I can search for that I think I might find useful when looking for this kind of item. I can then hit save, and that is now included in my asset library. I can filter the assets once I've got a lot here by image, audio, video, and other by using these little check marks. Here you can see I have no audio, so nothing shows up. Here I have one image, so just that shows up. And I can go into here at any time and I can see some key information: the title, the description I added, the size of the file, the dimensions, the tags, and of course I can edit or delete the asset. Now this is really useful if you are building from a set of brand guidelines or using templated items or templated graphics for your courses. It's also really useful if you are running a server instance of Adapt, as it allows you to share assets quickly and easily between team members. So next we're going to take a look at plugin management. For that we just head over to the menu again and select plugin management. So with Adapt being an open source platform, when you first install it, you really just get the bare bones, the framework and the authoring tool, no additional plugins, extensions, components, themes or menus, just the very basics. However, the big upside of being open source is of course that the community has created a lot of stuff that you can have access to completely free of charge. In this section you can see the different types of content you can upload to expand the tool's reach. Extensions are the first thing to look at. Extensions add core functionality, usually very specific functionality to your courses. As an example, you can see here the assessment extension allows you to group questions and components and provide a score and feedback. Basically, it allows you to create an assessment that's tracked. Bookmarking allows the course to track exactly where the user is so that they can resume in the same space. This is the kind of functionality you might take for granted if you regularly use a Storyline or a Captivate, whereas here you have the option to include that or not. This is kind of the double-edged sword of Adapt. Less things are automated, but you have a much greater level of control. Other examples here are language picker, page level progress, including resources. Spore is what actually allows you to have basic SCORM tracking. There are additional tracking options available, created by the community. Trickle here is a great example of a vertical locking extension, and the tutor extension allows you to provide basic feedback over question components. Now, this list of extensions is relatively short, but as I've said, the community has created a lot, and I'll show you where you can get those in just a moment. But before we have a look at what the community's created, let's continue to have a look at the other plugins that you need to be familiar with. So next to extensions, we find components. Components are the interactions that you're able to build within the tool. Now, you can see here in this list a number of things you probably recognise, such as accordions, assessment results, a page blank, which is literally allowing to leave a gap on the page, graphics, graphic multiple choice questions, hot graphics and matching questions. And you can see that all of those have this green button here, meaning you can refresh it, check it for updates, and that it was pre-included when I installed Adapt. Next to the blinds and flip card components, however, you can see these little people icons. When you hover over them, you can see that that means it was uploaded by user. These are components that I have added, created by the community, so that I can use them in my courses. This is a great example of how you can very quickly become very familiar with all the components included in the platform, because all of them have home pages. If you want to learn more about a hot graphic, you can click Visit the plugin homepage and it will jump straight to the GitHub page. Here you can see exactly what the component looks like without any editing and find all the technical development documentation for it. So let's go back to our tool. And moving on from components, let's look at themes. Themes are basically the information that tells every course what it should look like, from the color palette to the fonts, the size of the text, spacing and alignment. Everything is controlled by the theme. As standard, you come with a single theme installed and it's called Vanilla, very appropriately. You can of course edit this in the platform, and that's how you can really get into the world of deciding exactly what your course is going to look like. We're not going to look at editing a theme in this introduction, purely because it can become complex. For now, we're going to focus on basic functionality, but we'll definitely come back to this in a future video. The last type of plugin to look at are menus. As the name suggests, this dictates exactly what the main menu of your course will look like and what kind of functionality it will have. As you can see, by standard, a single menu type is installed, the box menu. And if we visit the plugin homepage, we can see what a box menu tends to look like. As the name describes, it's a box with an image, some heading text, some key information, a course duration, and a button to click to launch the course. Now, there are a lot of menu options available in the Adapt authoring tool, so it's important to explore your options when you install the tool. So those are our 4 types of plugin. Extensions add background functionality, components are the interactions your learner will experience, themes dictate what your course looks and feels like, and menus control how people navigate your course. Now, at several points I've mentioned that the community has created a lot of plugins for the Adapt platform, so next up, let's see where you can get your hands on those. Below each of the types here, you've got a link to Get New Plugins. Shockingly, if you click that, it takes you directly to the plugin browser on the Adapt Learning website. You can also go directly here yourself, but having the link there makes it really easy. Here you can find everything carefully labelled. Here we go, 200 plugins found. You can search by name or description if there's a particular type of functionality you're looking for, or of course you can just scroll through. Here you can see some examples of extensions, components and themes. You can also see that some of these are the ones that come pre-installed. Where that's the case, it will actually say when you open this up. If we scroll down, we can see not all of them are created just by the Adapt community. Some are created by Kineo, Learning Pool, names that you'll recognise, developers from within the community here as well. As you can see, Adapt really is a community supported platform. Here you can see there's a specific menu option for a single page course. So if we click into here, we can see that he's included all of the information and a link to the plugin homepage. If we go to the plugin homepage, it takes us directly to GitHub. So let's look at how we install a plugin. First of all, let's select what we'd like to install. Let's take a look at the Adapt article block slider from Kineo here. Here we can see all the information, and my personal preference for installing this is actually not to use git clone, but instead to go to the plugin homepage, click on the code dropdown, download the zip folder, and then head back to the authoring tool. Hit the upload plugin button right here in the plugin manager, click choose file, select the file we just downloaded, and hit the upload button. Here you get a success message confirming that the plugin was uploaded successfully. Click OK, and now here in my extensions section you can see the article block slider is here. It's automatically enabled, but is not automatically enabled on all new courses by default. This exact same process will work for extensions, components, themes and menus, assuming they are compatible with your version of the framework and the authoring tool. You can always check that information when you're looking at a plugin using the right-hand stats section, where it will tell you the minimum required framework. In this case, this plugin requires a framework version greater or equal to 5.10. You can also see other important information here, such as how many times this plugin has been downloaded, what kind of license it's offered under, and when it was published and last updated. Generally speaking, I try to avoid plugins that haven't been updated in a very long time. In the case of this plugin, it was updated just 12 days ago, so we're in really good shape here. With our plugin installed, we can close this and head back to the authoring tool. Getting back to our dashboard is as simple as clicking on the menu again and clicking Dashboard. With all that done, let's finally create our first course in Adapt. We do this by clicking Add New Course and then entering some basic information about the course we want to create, starting with a preview image. If you're ever unsure what any of these elements are or what they do, you can hover over the small information icons next to the headings to get a reminder of what they are. So in the case of a preview image, the image will be shown in the dashboard for this course. This allows you to quickly identify different brands, different course types, or different library collections. Here you can enter the title of your course, so I'm going to call this an Adapt Test Course. Now you can see this has automatically been copied into the display title. Now that's because this little link icon is here. If I click that, I can now edit this individually, so I can have it called one thing under title on my dashboard, but display something different to users. If I do want them to be the same, I can lock it. If I want to have a technical title but not a display title, I can click the X here to have nothing shown at all. As it is, I always find that having the title and display title the same makes everyone's life a little bit easier. I can then also create a subtitle. Now you might wonder where a subtitle is going to show. If we're unsure, let's hover over the information icon and this will be displayed on the course's main menu. So I'm just going to type in, this is a subtitle, a very imaginative subtitle there. Next up we have our course description. Now this actually sits in the metadata and is not displayed anywhere, unlike the body text which will be displayed on the main menu. So, once again I display my expert spelling skills there, but you can see how you can very quickly add text to both the metadata and the main menu body text. You can also add instructional text, such as click something, again demonstrating an incredible ability to not even be able to spell simple words. You can also set up HTML classes. Now, as you can see here, this just allows you to apply HTML classes and elements to the top level within your menu. You can also apply tags to make searching easier, and decide whether or not this course is available to all users using your instance of Adapt, or if you want to share it with specific users. Given this is a local installation, I never have to worry about this, but if you're using a server-based version, you may want to consider whether or not you want everyone looking at your course, or just a select group, or indeed no one. If you leave everything unticked and no one specified, no one else will be able to see your work. Next up, we can set the menu locking type. Sometimes you're not going to know this when you're setting up your course from scratch. Don't worry, you can always change this stuff later, but by default you can either set it as custom and set it all manually within the course, lock the last element only, sequential unlocking, or just unlock the first module. Here you can add custom CSS to your course, whether that's buttons, backgrounds, transitions, whatever it might be, you can add that all here. And finally, you can set any settings to do with the menu. So for instance, you can use a style to change the look and feel, usually relating to classes you set up in your CSS, and you can set up the requirement of completion, so how many different parts of your course need to be completed. These are settings that you can edit as you go. So as you expand a course, do different components, add different pages, you can alter the completion requirements. Next, you can set up the start settings. So, do you just want your course to load as created, or do you want to be able to jump past the menu or to a specific page? Enabling this allows you to choose exactly which page of your course loads first, rather than just always being the first one. You can also enable force routing, where you can route them directly somewhere regardless of the URL they go to, and you can disable the menu if you don't want a menu in your course and just want to create a single path linear experience. Next up, we have global settings. So this is all about accessibility. So whenever you have a certain button, be that skip navigation, answered incorrectly or correctly, or selecting an answer instructions, you can preset here what the alternative text will be. This is a massive time saver, because once you've set up your standard approach, so do you use previous or back, do you use next or continue, those kinds of things, you can input it here and it will apply to every instance of that kind of button in the course. This really does save time and ensures consistency in the wording, spelling, capitalization in all your alternative text. The stuff that can very easily be forgotten or end up being rushed at the end of a project if it's not really given enough time in the project plan. You can see here that pretty much every kind of button imaginable is covered. Even notifications such as the Trickle and Shooter plugins that we were looking at earlier have alternative text attached to them. So when they pop up, you know that everyone is going to be able to understand that information. The page level progress section also has alternative text set against it. The resources page, the language picker, everything you've got set up is there and ready to go. Here you can see that in media you'll have an option to upload a transcript, and it will automatically move that into the alternative text for you to make it accessible. These are the kind of things that, in my opinion, make the tool so brilliant to work with. They will save you so much time, despite taking a little bit more time to set up in the first place. One thing I really love is that once you've got this set up, you can of course duplicate the courses. Meaning if you're creating a set of 5 courses that all want to use the same settings, create it once, duplicate it out, you don't have to go back and re-add this every single time. As we scroll down, we see all the different plugins and components and alternative text they might require, and finally we do exactly the same for all the buttons in the course. With that done, you're ready to create the course. All you do for that is hit save, and we have officially created our first course in Adapt. Our next video will look in much more detail about how to build out a course on the platform, but just to give you a little taste of what that's going to be like, all your pages will appear down the left-hand column here, and as you click into them, you'll see that every page is made up of articles, blocks, and components. Components are the interactions, those in turn sit inside a block. You can have multiple blocks inside an article, but only one or potentially two components in a block if, for instance, a component is only half width. You'll notice this interface is very similar to a lot of off-the-shelf rapid deployment web designers such as Wix and WordPress and Squarespace, and that is by design. The user interface is simple, clear and easy to use, and this is what we'll be looking at in the next video. Thanks so much for hanging around for the whole of the video, I really appreciate it. Before you go, give that a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button and let me know in the comments what content you want to see about using the Adapt authoring tool. Later this week there will be another video about how to author the actual course in the tool, so make sure you don't miss that by hitting the bell button.